Okay, and we've got some people that have joined back in, Ryan and Shane. And, okay, so that Lori topic is a good transition to where we left off, Penn State Master Watershed Stewards. So just some FYI on the Stewards. It's a Penn State extension program. It's organized by county. So there are, and you're Berks County.
Was that?
No,
we did, it was at Chester, Delaware County.
Oh, Chester, Delaware, okay.
Yeah, so they flip flop every year.
Gotcha. So some of these coordinators do at one county exclusively, like Berks, Bucks. Chester and Delaware are together. So there's one coordinator for Chester, Delaware. Lackawanna, Luzerne, Wyoming has one coordinator. Lehigh, Northampton has one coordinator. Then there's Monroe, Montgomery, and Philadelphia is a new one. They're just starting. I think they just hired a coordinator. So the idea with the Stewards is it's sort of somewhere in between a completely, traditional volunteer setup and a professional setup. They're not professionals, but there's some level of commitment that they buy into. Like you pay for the program, right? You pay to get into the. You pay to get into the class, which presumably just supports materials and stuff like that. But nonetheless, it shows a commitment on the steward side. And then they have to, you're not even allowed to miss, are you allowed to miss like one training?
I think you can miss one training, and I know we did have a woman, I think she was in Chester County, she was in Delaware County. She just couldn't physically get there. So Megan had it so she could watch it live.
Okay.
But that was nice.
Yeah. So they'll accommodate, but the point is it's not the type of thing that you just go from time to time or as you're, as you want. You actually, in order to graduate, you have to attend these workshops, trainings, whatever. Stroud does one particular stream ecology training that's part of the Master Watershed Stewards program. And it's about a year?
No, it's 2 months.
Oh, it's just 2 months. Sorry.
It's just 2 months. So there's classroom with mostly lectures. So I wouldn't say we really even go over the actual material with the testing on. It's more lectures from different organizations.
How hard was the test?
It was fine. It was just multiple choice.
Yeah.
I think it was.
But then another point. So once they graduate, then the point. Another important point is that you have required volunteer hours that you have to meet in order to retain that steward.
Correct.
Yeah.
So not only volunteer hours, but you have to also go do continuing ed stuff too. Continuing ed stuff
as well. So,
you also have to have a certain number of project hours in order to get your final certification. So you can take the test, but you don't become official until you complete
enough project hours.
Like 50 hours.
50 hours.
So like Tuesday with the students, that was one of your accounts for your project.
Well, that can't, I was certified last year, but that counted towards my volunteer hours.
Right.
Like that counts towards mine.
So that counts towards your project.
So that sort of structure really seems ideal for this sensor station network that we have going in the Delaware Basin, because a lot of these volunteer efforts that people get into are maybe an hour a month or, minimal volunteer hours when it comes down to it. Nonetheless, in certain projects, those hours can be useful. An hour a month with sensor stations, that might not really go very far. So that's been one of the things that has been challenging with these stations across the basin is just having, these organizations having enough time to actually do the necessary maintenance and upkeep. Because when you get into like just traveling to the site, doing what you need to do at the site, returning, entering the data, even if it's a simple process, it still takes up quite a bit of time. So we've managed to coordinate with, I've been in conversation with Aaron Frederick, the state coordinator for the Master Watershed Stewards. They also have this state coordinator who organizes all the county coordinators. So I've been working with her and the county coordinators to basically assemble a list of interested Master Watershed Stewards. folks who have gone through the program and are interested in being involved with this sensor station network, and matching them up with particular stations that have acknowledged that they would like additional help. So even though someone like Lauren, who's pretty much on it with all components of her stations, even she feels like she can use a steward here or there to kind of just help with things, you know. Unfortunately, it's a Pennsylvania exclusive thing where the stewards can't go across state lines. They can go across county lines, but they can't go across state lines. I guess there's, you know, there's maybe, I don't know if it's, you know, a super formal thing, but I think they're trying to really keep it internal. So, you know, there's potential for this type of thing to happen in the other states too. New Jersey has a similar type of program, and I don't know about Delaware, but, you know, there's, maybe this is what we're doing with the Penn State stewards is that maybe this is, you know, pilot or template that we can use for the other states. Marianne, are you?
I guess I'm not understanding why the steward couldn't actually
Cross state lines?
Cross, you know, as I say, work like a situation on White Clay.
Well, I'm not saying that they definitely like cannot, absolutely not. I know that when I've proposed that, they're like, you know.
Well, there's no law against it. It's not like running zoos.
It's not a legal thing.
For money if they want to restrict the use of it.
That's like a Penn State thing.
It's a Penn State program, so you know, but it's a Penn State, you know, but if there's
in terms of liability, there might be an issue.
That's a great point, Jared. It's a great point. There may be liability issues, and maybe that's why Aaron was a little bit iffy about it. They can go across county lines, you know, but maybe that's that difference in liability. But it's worth.
They're also trying to collect data on how much volunteer hours. I know Megan is like, you know,
in
they
state.
want to know internally
Right.
how much volunteer hours are we getting.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, we have to log into a special.
So if you go out of state, you don't get counted for that, I guess.
Right.
Are there prerequisites for people in the MWS program, that college chemistry or
No, there's no prerequisites. There's basically an interview process that the coordinator does to kind of see what your interests
how
are.
do we recruit people who are marketing majors, business management majors? They have an interest, they want to participate. But
You just didn't ask the question correctly. Like, for example, if you're going to do it on the White Clay Creek, you just simply say, okay, you know, this program is run out of, like say, Shane Morgan's facility or whatever, and okay, fine, sometimes you can go over to Delaware and do something that, because, you know, you talk about network of stations that cross state lines.
Okay. Well,
Rephrase that question.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, you
no, it's a good point.
about
Because it could be aligned like we're totally. You're talking about yourself. Would you want support? Shane wants support, but she only wants it for data entry
Oh, definitely.
because she has interns lined up. But if you guys want support on your stations, then maybe we can try to do that.
in her case, she has money, so she can have Delaware University, Delaware students.
Right.
We get a grant from the gov, we could do a lot of. We
Yeah.
could hear you a lot clearer.
Well, I mean, hey, you guys are young guys. I mean, as we go along, you never, you know, we don't know what additional sit-side money is going to come in. You know, I mean, all right. So let's get back on target here. So regarding the stewards, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a training and pairing up stewards with particular stations, with the managers and owners of those stations. I've spoken with the station managers to line that up. The training is going to be in July. I'm going to be sending out a doodle poll soon to figure out the best date. It'll be a Saturday sometime in July at Berks Ag. And then we'll just pretty much go from there with mentorships.
So, for example, so Great Marsh Institute owns and manages 2 stations.
Right.
But we could still sign up for a volunteer.
Yes, and you have already. So you're on that list, and we have volunteers lined up who are.
Do we?
Yes, I spoke with you about it.
Yeah.
And you said you were interested, and Lori is one of the people on the list.
Yeah, but he was unvolunteering.
No, not for our.
Good
our
idea, Jim.
year. I can monitor that. I go
I'm
back
pretty
to-
sure she's on the list, and there's other people that want it, that I think are interested in these sites too.
Okay.
I just haven't. We're just in planning phase right now. All right, so full suite. I'm just going to breeze through this. I already talked about this. You know, we're going to be taking more of these samples. As I mentioned, you take them at base flow, which is why we don't have some of them currently. They're analyzed at Stroud, at Chesapeake Bay Labs, and at University of Delaware. Matt uploaded current results to the online group, so those are there.
Dave, I just want to be clear what you mean by full suite. It's just like full array of, okay, yeah, that. Okay,
That's it. So suspended sediments, dissolved organic carbon, chloride, you got your nutrients, sulfate, chloride, more nutrients, more nutrients, more nutrients, and then you get into your anions and cations, or cations here.
You're doing the DOCs there, the Stroud.
Yes.
So diamonds.
Yeah. So that's the list. That's our stats. What's up, Chuck?
Full suite. What's that cost?
Good question. It's fairly expensive. It's fairly expensive. Several hundred
Okay.
for one sample.
Okay.
Oh wait, forward. So, and then you can see in here, this is seal means that's at Stroud, Dianex is at Stroud. That's Chesapeake Bay Labs. This is Delaware, University of Delaware. Okay. So 28 full suite grab samples from our stations we'll be getting. Like I said, Matt's going to be going out most likely with an intern to do this. There's the actual sort of ones that we have samples for and ones that we don't.
So Dave, that's like you said at the installation at base flow, or is that like a one-time thing?
That's just going in with a bottle and collecting 1 liter bottle of water at base flow. At base flow is the key.
Good question.
What?
Would it be a one-time thing, or would you want to do it like this thing?
Well, for in terms of this project, it's a one-time thing right now. You know, John has said at some point, you know, Stroud might want to pay for another round. So,
How about the grab samples that we already took? I know I sent in 6 of them.
yeah, so these are here. Those results are up there.
Oh.
So this is the stats on the storm samples for the kids. This is just the TSS and chlorides.
Oh.
So you can see some of these sites, like Paul's got 10 or 11 that have been sent in.
You're going to send out flags to people who, because I see some on the white clay that haven't been done there. Never been grab samples.
Like full suite, you mean?
157, 177.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was just one that, you know, that was a sort of a special case where we just put that in with Shane, and it's part of the network, but it was sort of with Del Dot, and it wasn't we didn't give her a kit. She's been analyzing the samples separately and sending them off separately. So some of these things, like Shane's sort of doing her own thing. She doesn't want to enter the data into the online form and she's sending her samples out for analysis at another lab because she's just pretty heavy focus on her own timeline and stuff like that. And that's her prerogative to do that, you know. So this is essentially what's been posted up there, except there's a whole bunch of other columns with the actual data. Okay. Storm grab samples, as I mentioned, it's just being analyzed for those. Those results are also up there. There's Kevin Roth, cool guy, Kevin. He's on Pennypack. He's got 2 stations on Pennypack. That's your grab samples. Okay, rating curves, as I mentioned, Matt is going to try to go out this summer as time and storms allow. You know, we've been given the go-ahead to just sort of try to develop these without turning it into a formal training exercise, which was, you know, this is a citizen science project. It wasn't just Stroud going out and collecting data. So when we were doing storm sampling up until now, it had to be a little more of a, you know, like we were doing it a lot with Kim at First State, and it always had to be sort of a training session as well as a data collection session. We've been given the go-ahead to just start trying to get these rating curves cranked out. So Matt's going to just be going out and trying to do that as time and storms allow. We know how this goes. You know, it can be tough, but he's going to be going out and doing that, and we'll be in touch with station owners and volunteers associated with those stations. But if they can't make it, he's still going to do it, whereas before, if they couldn't make it, he was just not being done. Okay?
How many of these are you trying to do in each of these streams?
The goal is 5, at least.
At least,
you know,
we're
5.
trying to really build up these curves, and the training idea was so I can break away from that base eventually. But now the scientists, they really just want their data.
I can help you build up the high end of that.
Sure.
Using data online, which is probably within.
Yeah, and that would be a
95%.
And Dave,
so it's a lot easier.
it's the same thing as what what we're talking about with Bullard, where if we can get some matching up of your model results with the actual field results,
yeah,
that would be, I think, really nice.
Yeah, you got a hydrograph runoff curve for the lower end. We can build that right out.
So actually, on that subject, a project for our summer interns, because here we've got 2 sensor stations and right below it, USGS flow station. So the task is to correlate the data here and at Fairview Road with USGS, which is just half a mile down.
Gotcha.
And we've got all their flow data. So I'm saying that in lieu of a rating curve, since you can't do it anymore. I think
right, it's nearly impossible.
It would be impossible.
Okay, so if we can just
do a rating curve
at this slow thing here.
Yeah,
It'd be very difficult for flow measure.
Yeah.
How do you want to do that, Dave?
It'd be easy to do actually. Because
with your model.
With my model,
yeah.
The USGS.
So yeah, so with Dave's model, he could predict that, but in terms of actually measuring it, I don't know how you measure it because there's no noticeable flow.
What the USGS does is they interpolate between a bunch of stations, all that stuff on one.
But we got a weir, so regular.
It's one way to get
Calculated
it
weir.
pretty easily. Use a bunch of station data.
I mean, if we could, over the next year or two or whatever, if we could develop a technical work group that was around this whole rating curve thing, and like that would be great. I think right now what it comes down to is just, other than a few isolated cases, folks just really haven't had the time to really just, or expertise to really like delve deeply into that whole process. Bullard has the expertise, Stroud has the expertise, Lauren and Krista are, there. You know, Kim's stewards are, you know,
We are gonna work on.
Sharing equipment amongst the.
and the equipment thing is another thing, but.
Like around 5 kits in the making, kind of like what's
All right, so we should move on, and Matt, you're continuing to take notes on this stuff, right? And Krista, you're in there? Okay. So just an aside, Shane is saying Rutgers Extension NJ is able to come to PA, so it's possible that MWS can do work in Delaware. Just a thought. So she's saying she's getting monthly grabs on all her sensors. Yeah. And so, yes, if you could share those results on the online group. Upload to. Oh. Sorry. So, all right. That was me taking notes.
Okay.
So Shane, basically, if you can upload, not the Dropbox, but if you could upload your results to the online group, to the uploaded files tab under the category of grab sample results, that would be where to do it. And just clearly title it like whatever, specifics, you know, according to the specific site. That would be good. If you want to talk, Shane, you can unmute or something and talk to the group.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure about the mute thing. I'm the one you heard earlier when I realized I didn't have it on. So you can hear me right now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting monthly grabs. So what I'm thinking I would do is once I have a year's worth of grab samples, then put that spreadsheet up onto the working group. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that sounds good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and then we can, and just make sure to, you know, title it according to the, you know, specific sites.
Yeah.
And then, you know, presumably what we would do is, I'm guessing we would then take that and integrate that into the main database at Stroud.
Okay. Okay. I'm only taking those 4 samples for nitrate, orthophosphate, chlorides, and TSS. So.
No, that's great though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. I'll have bacteria data too, which Jinjun is helping me with. So, but I can, whatever data you want, I can put up. So.
Yeah, no, that would be great if you posted that up there.
Okay.
When you've got a year, I think that's a good idea. Once you've got a year, I'll put it up there.
Yeah. All right. I will do that.
Great.
I'm gonna go on mute again.
Okay, and Ryan, I'm assuming you can hear us. If you want to chime in, feel free to unmute yourself and comment, or ask questions or whatever. All right, so we should really move on here. So these are rating curves. This is Lauren's rating curve. This is the idea, getting this type of relationship so that you can infer discharge based on your depth data. And you can't see the picture very well, but that's Lauren there, and her site floods a lot, especially in recent times.
Flooded last night?
Flooded last night. This is, so everyone should just sort of know about this particular paper. It's up on the online group, but this is just one that's local where they basically did what we're doing in terms of field data collection and developing rating curves. Okay, so you can see how many samples that they used to develop this suspended sediment to turbidity relationship. This is about a 2-to-1 relationship of suspended sediment levels to turbidity levels.
What are those units? One, can't even pronounce it.
That's
Is that NTU?
FNU, they're comparable.
Okay.
And then you know, just as an aside, and we really should be moving on here so we can get into the presentations, but this is suspended sediment concentration, SSC. That is different than TSS in terms of protocol. So SSC, you filter the entire sample. TSS, you're taking a subsample and filtering that. That's where TSS is slightly less reliable because there's more potential for error.
If idea was to kind of long off somewhat, because it's a filter long, and I would take the filter really good sample. But the snapshot.
It's online, so you can just type that in.
Numbers, because you're not. Yeah, so even if we get less stuff, it's still like a rough correlation, I would say.
It's USGS. It's USGS. Yeah. But I know how that stuff gets lost. It's online. It's easy to find. So I understand why Marion's writing it down again. So, this is what George and Carol have been developing. This may be bigger now, more extensive now. I just pulled this. But, this has this looks pretty good. It has that sort of 2-to-1-ish ratio. That can vary, though, because of these turbidity sensors, that ratio. That's why we want to, again, to develop a site-specific curve.
Also,
Bullard looks like he's ready to. No. I was just going to say, it all depends on what is getting pulled in at a particular time.
Right.
If it's winter or crops, fields are open, or whatever material's getting pulled in.
Yeah.
Because flock itself, suspended flock, it's got essentially zero.
So what you're talking about is particle size.
Yes.
Distribution in the water.
Yeah. And also in solution or not, because I know some of the sites not associated with this site have lots of tannins and stuff in it, and so the water is going to block a lot of light.
And apparently some of these particles, depending on the turbidity sensors, have different abilities to detect certain particles. And that contributing to the actual NTU. So just our support, so as I've been mentioning, Matt's going to be going out and supporting data collection efforts. Shannon and Rachel are going to continue doing maintenance visits, doing updates as needed. Some of you have already sort of had replacement sensors, but there are funds to replace sensors in certain cases beyond what the warranty allows. The warranties are 1 year for both the CTD and turbidity. And the warranties only apply to certain cases. But even in cases outside the warranty, there are resources to replace the sensors for DRWI, for stations that are participating in this DRWI effort. We're certainly not doing it for stations in Michigan that we're just selling them a station, or somewhere.
Fever damage.
Well, it does. In certain cases, I think it depends. It's a case by case situation. I think. How much replacements have already been done, this and that.
What has been the track record on sensors? We had problems that you mentioned were specifically a manufacturer, the manufacturer.
Right, and those go back and those get replaced, and that does happen.
And beyond that, there hasn't been an issue.
Jim's got eaten. We've had other ones that get eaten. Some of them. Kim had one that got taken out by a boulder in a storm, or a couple maybe. Rocky did. Upper Rocky got taken out. Didn't it? Yeah. Then Upper Rocky got busted. It was a while back, and Shannon was on it, because that station has been super important.
Lower Rocky got stolen.
Lower Rocky got stolen, and Ramsey got stolen. But Upper Rocky got hit by a boulder, and Shannon was out there like a week after and replaced it, so it may have just gone unnoticed. But okay, so as I mentioned, we're finally at a point internally where we've kind of been able to line some people up to actually, like Shannon has been able to finally do with the 4G, we've finally been able to line some people up to actually spend some real focused chunks of time on the data analysis. So both these folks are fairly new hires in the last year or two at Stroud. You've met these folks, right? You not met them yet?
No.
They were both supposed to attend your presentation, Yake, and both of them bailed. But they were supposed to attend. And then Melanie's been there. Melanie's super awesome. She's been there for a lot of years, and she is the database person, and she has a real handle on just all the data. She runs, analyses for lots of different people. So that's just a FYI. And we're starting a meeting with them next week, and we're going to start with temperature and conductivity. It's sort of an easy, low-hanging fruit. If we get rating curve, they could potentially be involved with Pickering. That's one that we have rating curves for. If we get more rating curves developed, potentially it could be a broader analysis in that way too. That's a little ways off. This is just some ideas of like the conductivity and temperature data. We can go over this today if we want, if people have ideas of good ways to analyze those data. Bullard's thinking already. Moving forward, photo sharing. Going back to the data sharing. Most people at this point have uploaded their data to the Google Drive link. Bullard, I don't know if you did yet or not. You did? Okay, awesome. So we've actually had a tremendous, well, he was one of the ones that was lingering out there that I was trying to get it from, but it's up there, and he met the deadline.
There you go. I got it.
So, but point is, it was a wonderful effort, and we've actually gotten, at this point, I think we've gotten almost all of the SD card data from all 71 stations across the basin in one spot. So that's really pretty impressive.
The USGS believes that temperature is one of the variables that they haven't looked at enough.
Well, it's pretty sensitive. It's easy to measure.
Also from you have a mixed aquifer system. Where's the water coming from?
How do you model that?
Yeah. Right.
It's got groundwater. Yeah. Most of the models just look at air temperature.
Right.
So, and this data set is public. I mean, I've had some Tetra Tech guy contacting me lately to get the data. Some guy from Boston area. There was a USGS guy that talked to me at the National Water Monitoring Conference in Denver a month or two ago, who was, wanting to in some way integrate this into the new next generation thing that they have that they're piloting in the Delaware Basin. They have there's a presentation they give that they have a sit-sci component, so it's part of one of their deliverables to sort of integrate that in some way. Where that goes, I don't know. I mean, I think the assumption is that they just want to go out and do it themselves and not worry about dealing with any of this external entities at all. So we'll see where that goes. But
is that part of their street flow characteristics and trainings they're doing for 2017 on?
It's the NG WAS stuff, basically. And we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it would be nice if they integrated this in some way, but, we'll see. I mean, I think it's very easy for a group in that type of situation to just keep it totally internal and just get the job done. Okay, just to touch on this, we can certainly think about ideas for this potential bigger workshop in the winter. Plenty of folks here that might want to do presentations there on any number of things. Jim, you could do a presentation on your DIY stuff here. You guys could you know, I think it's going to be broader.
Yeah.
And then upcoming workshops. So some of these haven't even been posted yet. In fact, the July one is TBD, the Master Watershed Stewards one. You know, that's not even determined yet. This one has been posted on Stroud events page, and I've been communicating about that one. It's pretty much maxed out on attendance. It's a 20-person limit. There may be 1 or 2 spots left, so you can still sign up for that, but I think a number of people are signed up for that anyways in here. August 9th, we're still debating about whether it's going to be August 9th or 10th. I think we might move to the 10th as a Saturday. Paul's sort of facilitating that. And then just as a Saturday to make it accessible to different, you know, possible additional Master Watershed Stewards, other volunteers and stuff. That'll be up north so that it's more accessible to the northern group. Most people here today, I think, Paul, you're the furthest north. And then there's another Shannon Hicks standard intro to Enviro DIY where she gets into sort of the beginner programming, a demo of installation. That's a standard one that most of you have already been to. And then the Watershed 101 for the year is going to be September 24 to 25. This June 7th one is the beginnings of Watershed 201. Watershed 201s are just going to be sort of like, you know, spin-offs of 101, but in specific areas. So this one obviously is discharging TSS and is setting up an inexpensive
Send out an
lab.
email on the list. I never saw it.
Yeah, that I sent emails out, and that's it's on the Stroud events page as well. Sign up, and then I guess we're gonna plan another next sensor management workshop, which is sort of along the lines of what this training is. We've had one management workshop already, but it's sort of just the introductory one where we just go through hands-on, people go out, clean sensors, everyone fills out a data sheet, everyone does QC. That's going to be another northern one, and that's going to be, sounds like we're going to do that at the Broadhead Watershed Association. We haven't set a date for that at all yet, though. But that will presumably be late summer, early fall, maybe. So, yeah. I mean, this one, these aren't. You know, yes, that's open. That's open. Watershed 101 is open. The Watershed 201 is kind of open. I mean, I only sent the invite to like the internal Delaware network first, and then I opened it up to the broader group via Basecamp, but that's still Delaware Basin based. So that's, you know, and it was just basically because it was sort of a hands-on workshop and it's a 20-person limit as to why we kept it as Delaware Basin. But nonetheless, I think there is one guy from outside the basin who's wanting to develop his own TSS lab, and that's this guy, Oyster, who I wanted you to talk to directly that day, and Lauren as well, because he's trying to set up a lab himself. Oyster man. Yeah. All right, so that's all. So do we want to have another little break? Are folks good? What time is it? 11:34. Good Lord.
We're a half hour behind.
Well, this is discussion. All right. So. Huh? I mean, this is the intention of these meetings. It's just to leave them open-ended. So we do have a stop time, though. So we want to stay on target. And we had a pretty nice cushion at the end, too. So I'm going to just load up Kim's presentation. And Kim, if you're ready, you can just, oh, wait. Stop recording.